Well, turbulent times create both challenges and opportunities for companies. And in today's extraordinary economic turbulence, it's becoming critical for corporate leadership to focus on long-term innovation, but at the same time execute short-term actions necessary to sustain the core business. To discuss how business leaders can use innovation to exploit existing competencies and leverage a strong position, I'm joined by Professor Robert Burgelman from Stanford University. He's in Australia from the US Studies Centre to speak to a symposium on innovation. Good morning, Robert Burgelman. Welcome to Business Today.
Good morning, Whitney. Thank you for having me here.
Now, the financial crisis has inflicted damage on business across the globe. Do you think this will force a rethink of corporate strategy?
Yes, I think so. I think people forget sometimes that strategy in first instance is a mentality. It's a way of looking at the world, and it is something you do all the time as opposed to only occasionally. And so ultimately strategy is about how do you gain and maintain control over your destiny. So if you now apply this to the corporations, on the financial side they will have to look carefully about, for instance, the structure of their balance sheets, how much debt do they have, not too much, because if it's too much, it's dangerous, as we have seen. Not too little, because otherwise they become targets for acquisition. But so how do you manage the financial balance between debt and equity? And on the other hand, on the product side, this is a great time, I think, to think about how we can reduce costs and use those reductions in costs to, in fact, provide resources for increasing innovation and therefore increasing the customer value that ultimately all businesses have to provide. So the answer is yes.
All right. Now, innovation often occurs during a downturn. So do you expect we'll see a number of new ways to operate business emerging? And if so, what are you foreseeing then?
Well, I think the answer here again is yes. I think we're going to see a renewed emphasis on productivity in first instance. In other words, doing more with less. And I think there are three lessons to be kept in mind that I've learned myself from having had the privilege of talking with renowned executives. One of them is a lesson that I learned from Andy Grove, which said, the last one to get commoditized wins. So all businesses are going to have to ask themselves, how can we avoid to be commoditized? And that leads you to have to innovate on a continuous basis. A second point that I learned from Gordon Moore, actually I call it Moore's second law, is that you never get well on your old products. So companies will have to innovate in order to be ready by the time that we come out of this down cycle, to be ready to capitalize on the new opportunities. The ones who have not done that, I think they will lag further and further behind. And the third lesson I got from Mark Hurt, the CEO of HP, who once told me, he said, good companies can grow, or good companies can cut costs, but great companies can do both. And so that is, I think, what we're going to see happen in order to be able to really. So I think the ones who can do those things will be in a strong position as we come out of this cycle.